There were not very many women in leadership roles when I was growing up. For me, a huge role model in my life was my grandmother. You know, she sewed, she knitted, she made crafts. All of my aunts, they're all artists. So this is something that I have in my skill set as being an artist. This was one type of leader in my life, the patience to do art, to make art, to express yourself through art. I think that this contributed a lot to who I am. وجاگم شاید اونی چالش مکان Mandy Gull مستی جبجودن گن جنی گنس کوه آیو جوتن هاو ایوشتید. I think that I came into politics through probably just a connection with my mother. My mother was somebody who actually worked at the band office. She was a secretary. She worked in finance as well. Growing up, I would go with her to work. I would see her at her office. Sometimes she'd take me and, you know, I'd sit with her and kind of look at her, what she was doing. And I just thought, that's something that I want to do. You know, I want to be like my mom. I want to work at the band office. The first woman that was elected as the deputy grand chief in my nation was 20 years ago. It took 20 years for me to be the second elected deputy grand chief. Now in my lifetime, you know, I'm 43, I'm the first female leader. So that shows that there's a long path for women to reach these positions. I'd have to say that if you want to go into politics, I worked, you know, in the political field. I decided to go to university. I have a bachelor's degree in political science because I wanted to understand the administrative process, the process of making a decision, of validating that decision, of having policy. You know, what's the influence of public relations, how to communicate, what's the decision-making process? When I went to school and then when I went home, I had the harsh reality of understanding everything that I learned was not part of the cultural dynamic of being a leader in the community. So I had to relearn, you know, all of these theories and everything that I had learned in a book were not the same in the community. So I'm glad that I had the experience to, you know, be a part of the band office, to work with our elders, to work with the different committees, to see the decision-making process. The level of contact between the Prime Minister and your average Canadian is very wide. You know, you can see the Prime Minister, but it's not like in the community. Your chief lives next door. You stop them at the store. You can tell them what your needs are. You're not happy about something, you can go to their office. So it's a very close contact. That was something that was important to me. You know, I tried to make myself available to my community members throughout USG. You can message me, you can send me, you know, a messenger and ask me questions because I believe that sort of contact is essential. This was not something they teach you in university. So yes, if you want to learn and prepare yourself with, you know, some information that can help you learn different methodologies to apply, yeah, but if you really want to learn, you know, get involved in your community. Work with committees, work with your elders, see what it is that your community members want. I think one of the things that I learned right away as a new leader, you know, leadership lessons, you have many. One of the things that I learned was that you are never without your role. You are the Grand Chief 365 days a year, morning, noon, and night. You know, different things will happen at different times. You have to be prepared. The only time that I am not the Grand Chief, I think, is when I step into the doorway of my home and I have another role to play. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, you know, I have other obligations, responsibilities that are very important to me. And finding the balance between those things is another leadership lesson. You know, in the beginning of my career, I think that I had a hard time understanding when to take rest, when to take a break. And this is something that I've seen very common for other women leaders. And, you know, my reflection is that as a woman leader, you're expected to succeed. You are expected to succeed 4 times greater with half the credit. So you really have to be involved in what you're doing. You have to be available, you have to be aware. But through these different lessons in leadership, I realized, I'm no good to anybody if I'm tired, if I'm burnt out, if I haven't taken a rest. It's in those pauses that you take a reflection and you review what you're working on and recalibrate. And the rest, I think, is probably the tool that you need to really succeed as a leader. If I had to choose one word to explain my experience in politics, I would have to say willingness. You have to be willing to go through leadership challenges. You have to be willing to serve. You have to be willing to do the work that's really hard. You have to be willing to accept success, and you have to be willing to accept criticism, and you have to do it with grace. And that is, I think, one of the biggest leadership lessons. So if I was to send a message to, future women that want to go into leadership roles, always maintain your grace, even when it's hard, even when it's great, even when you want to brag, or even when you want to cry. Grace is probably something that will carry you through all of these experiences. I think, what I want to leave a note on is the purpose of these videos is for women that want to come into leadership. I want to tell those people, if you feel that you have a role to play in leadership, pursue it, irregardless of whether you feel qualified or whether you feel you have the capacity. If the people want you, they will put you in those roles. It's so important to listen to them. They will determine if you're able to work for them. And when you do, come into these roles, be gentle on yourself. Understand that as a leader, you need to show compassion for others, but to yourself first, because this is the way that you can be the greatest asset to your people. Do my kids want to be in politics? I don't know. I have a daughter. I have a youngest daughter. She is the one that I think would be a great candidate for leadership. I don't think she's at a space in her career. She keeps saying, "I'll never do it, Mom." But you know what happens when you say you'll never do it? You end up on that path. So we'll see. I'll be glad if one of my kids is in leadership.